Hey there, everyone. A quick question for you. It was prompted from my appearance on a podcast this morning, which is the Property Quorum, for any of you that have ever seen it. But the question that is bounding around in my mind is the everything bubble about to pop? I'm seeing so many market indicators that are suggesting that the stock markets are hitting all-time highs and that property prices have now become very much unaffordable for a lot of people, particularly when there's so much economic uncertainty about specifically within the British Isles. And I think there is a huge problem where I'm seeing a lot of estate agents now suggesting that they've been very quiet for a number of months, and that particularly there is the sort of traditional September bounce, as would be expected in the market after the summer holidays, just hasn't appeared. And so it's got me questioning whether or not the everything bubble is about to burst. And we saw something very similar happen in 2008, where the market was going on, well, it started in 2007. The market was going on extremely well. Properties were selling at great prices. There was an abundance of buyers around. You could put something on the market and sell it within a couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody came into the office and unplugged the phones and the market just stopped. And unfortunately, 2008 is a very distant memory for a lot of people. It's almost 20 years ago, right? And so a lot of the pain points that happened during that period of time have been forgotten. And it has now left us with a situation where a lot of people think that it can't happen again. But when you have situations like what is unfolding in America, where you have more inventory on the market than ever before, and that situation has only occurred apparently 5 times previously or 6 times previously, and every time it's led to a recession, and it's now more affordable to rent than it is to buy in the States. Traditionally, what we've seen in past recessions is that the American market starts to falter or enter a recession, and that impacts us in the UK here as well. Now, where you have buyers sitting on their hands because of uncertainty, we have a budget looming, which many people are uncertain about. They are scared about, let's be honest. We have people pushed to the breaking point financially, where they might be earning very good salaries, but they can't afford the basic necessities of life, which is a roof over their head and their, utility bills, etc. I think there's a major problem, and it's not so much as it was in, the 80s and 90s, where we had sky-high interest rates. The problem that we've got at the moment is that, yes, interest rates have moved up from historically low 0.5%. The order of magnitude of that increase is massive anyway, but it's the scale of the amount of debt that people have to borrow in order to afford a home right now, which is one of the driving factors. And when there's economic uncertainty, when there's a lack of confidence, that tends to make people want to sit on their hands. So I have to question whether or not now is the time when the everything bubble begins to pop, and that leads to a flatlining of the economy, a flatlining of house prices. And then you have to look at the impact of what happens and how does this apply really to property professionals and home buyers and sellers. Well, let me address that right now. If you're a property professional, here's my guidance to you. If you've been sat there now for the best part of 2 or 3 months and you haven't been getting the sales that you ordinarily would be, or even if you have been, one of the things to look out for is when that market starts to dip and starts to slow down, as it has done recently. The key thing to do is to start to look at your overhead very, very carefully. You've got to cut out that fat as quickly as possible in order to stabilize your business. And you've got to be looking, in my opinion, particularly for estate agents and conveyancers, you need to be looking at upfront fees from your clients, particularly to comply with material information. That is an absolute must, because that will help you get sales through the conveyancing process a lot quicker. And if you want to know more about that, come and talk to me. But the point being, what happened in 2007, 2008, 2009, and I had personal experience of this from a buying perspective, is that let's say properties were selling at, say, £500,000 in an area, right? And you then end up in a situation where those 10 properties in a particular area at £500,000 aren't selling, right? Then you get more and more people putting their house on the market because they have to sell, or they need to sell for whatever reason, whether it's financial pressure, job insecurity, whatever else it might be. All of a sudden, you've now got 20, 30, 40 properties on the market. Buyers have more choice, and therefore they will shop around for the best deal. So why do I spend £500,000 for a property when I can buy it at 450? And once that sale goes through at 450, you've then set a new benchmark for price in that area. Okay, so surveyors looking at what has sold in that area, we only have one property that's sold at 450, therefore the price range of properties in this area is probably 425 to 450, right? So now you're starting to collapse property values through the impact of valuation surveyors. And that happened to me in 2008. In fact, I was victim of my own success, is that when I bought properties that were at a very low price at auction, because there was literally no other buyers in the room because everybody was scared stiff, when I went to revalue them, remortgage them later on, about a year later, the problem was the only properties that had sold in that area for valuation purposes were the ones that I bought previously. And so I was stuck. There was no increasing the value because there was no other buyers in that particular area. And people think that situation can't happen again. I can assure you, that situation could unfold literally tomorrow without us even being aware of it. And the market forces start to push in the opposite direction. That collapse can happen very, very quickly. So from a buyer and seller point of view, my words of wisdom would be, you have to price sensibly. You're not going to eke out every penny of the property value like you used to be able to in 2021, for example, when the market was going crazy. You've got to be very realistic with your pricing, and I would almost say underprice it against other properties. So if there's 10 properties in your area at $500,000, you really want to be, putting your property on the market at 480 with a view to getting 480, rather than being one of a choice of 20 odd properties where you might not get a buyer at all. And it really can be that simple as far as, pricing a property correctly in order to attract the right buyer at the right time. So that would be my words of guidance. Price it right. But also, and I encourage you to do this, you have to look at securing the sale through to completion as quickly as possible. Because if there are any complications in your legal title, any complications in the property as a whole, okay, your buyer is likely to pull out and then go and look at other properties because there's a lot of choice, right? So you have to make sure you're stacking the odds in your favour to make sure that you can sell your property not only at the right price, but sell it quickly throughout the legal process with less chance of it falling through. And again, if you want some help and support on that, just drop me a comment below or reach out to me directly and we'll have a chat about how we can help you fast track your sale through to completion, it literally in a matter of weeks rather than months and months and months. So if you need to sell within the next 6 months, it's probably going to take you at least 4 months throughout the legal process, which leaves you very little time to find a buyer. And in today's market, that can be a real challenge. So you've got to stack all of the odds in your favour from a selling perspective in order to get the right buyer at the right price and get it through to completion as quickly as possible so that you get that noose from around your neck. And that can be particularly a problem if you're struggling to pay the mortgage, or you've just lost a job and you think, I might have 6 months of runway here with my savings, but after that I'm going to be in serious trouble. Okay, we don't want you in that situation, and if there's anything I can do, or the team here at Wigwam can do to support you, we'd be only too grateful to do that. So I'll leave you with those further thoughts. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, whether the market's about to crash, whether the everything bubble is about to pop. Drop your comments below. I'm sure this will stir up a bit of controversy, but you've just got to look at the market indicators that are all flashing red at the moment, and that will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. All right, guys, see you on another video very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.